Welcome to Comics with Dan, and I'm going to be reviewing Power Rangers Prime Volume 1. I started reading Power Rangers Prime during the Darkest Hour event last year, and while I certainly enjoyed parts of it, jumping on so late in the game definitely caused me to miss out on some important material. So I was very excited to see that I would get a new jumping on point this past fall. I read the first issue and enjoyed it a lot, but then I fell behind on it, and now with Volume 1 coming out this week, along with issue number 7, it's a great time to catch up. I'm going to try to keep this review pretty much spoiler free, but I will say that the end of this volume reveals who the different Power Rangers are, so I will give you that spoiler at the end of this review. I said in my review of issue number 1 that this was going to be a political story, and that goes for the rest of this volume as well. Of course, I feel the need to elaborate here. I don't really mean this in a negative way. I just mean that the story is going to heavily focus on the overarching plot of the Letterer colonization of Earth, and it's really going to be a strong storyline throughout. For the uninitiated, in this Power Rangers continuity, 70 years ago, Earth was invaded by aliens called the Beast Brigade, and the Alterians sort of intervened and helped rescue the Earth from the Beast Brigade, and then proceeded to introduce new technology to Earth and sort of help them overcome hurdles and eventually, colonize the Earth. And it became what they referred to as the Alterians' 205th colony. It's noted in this volume that the Alterians didn't like the Power Rangers much, or didn't like the Rangers much, I should say, and proceeds to explain how the Alterians then hunted down Power Rangers, separated from their families, and so on. I am really hoping that this gets explored more because I would imagine that the underlying reason that the Alterians don't like the Power Rangers is because they present a challenge to their authority. But I think some additional context to that would really be appreciated. The background regarding the Alterian colonization is extremely important when talking about who I believe to be the two main characters of this volume, Mark and Jun. Mark is a refugee who arrived on Earth when he was 6 years old. So he's not technically human, but he's also not Alterian. It seems like he is at the same sort of status level as humans are, which is to say below the Alterians. Mark is a little introverted and reserved and doesn't seem too sure of himself, but seems to have a penchant for helping those in need. Jun, meanwhile, is not only an Alterian, but the son of a high-ranking Alterian. Jun is obsessed with these legendary Power Rangers that everyone seems to think are only myths. I also get the feeling that Jun is constantly feeling like he needs to live up to a certain standard, not only because he's Alterian, but because his mom is an admiral in the Alterian military. He also, though, seems like he's a bit out of place. Like he doesn't necessarily want to have this pressure put on him, and that he doesn't necessarily thrive on it, but wants to right wrongs, and even if he's sort of questioning at the moment what those rights and wrongs are. Mark and Jun seem connected from the start of the story. Besides the fact that they are from opposite ends of the class systems in this universe, they also strike me as two people who could learn a lot from each other. Melissa Flores definitely sets this up, so I'm hoping that this trend continues throughout the rest of the series. Additionally, story-wise, this is definitely an introductory arc. Rita Repulsa makes an appearance, and I'd say she fills a similar role, but definitely different than she usually does. So keep an eye out for that for sure. I have seen no sign of Zordon or Alpha 5 yet, two of my favorites from the original Power Rangers TV show. So I'll be looking out for their first Prime Universe appearances. We get all of our characters set up, and it seems like the action will really take off in Volume 2. As I said in my review of issue number 1, there isn't a lot of Power Rangering in this, so to speak, which holds true for the rest of the volume. However, I don't see it as a problem. In fact, I think it results in some really quality storytelling and sort of raising the stakes. In my review of issue number 1, I didn't realize what the impact of the VR Troopers appearance meant. Apparently, it's another TV show that took place around the same time as the Power Rangers. I've never seen it before, but people were very excited that they showed up. So the characters certainly seem interesting, and I think they're going to play a pretty important plot I don't know that I'd necessarily consider them villains because they seem like they're trying to do admirable things, but perhaps not for the right group of people. So I could definitely see a VR Troopers Power Rangers team up later on. This first volume is very much about building this Prime Power Rangers universe. And so far as the plot goes, it's mostly about setting the scene, introducing characters, and building a background to tell other stories in. Michael YG is the penciler for this series, and I feel like his work is extremely solid. He has been the main artist on every issue except for issue number 6. And his work reflects work that you'd expect from a big two A-list superhero comic book. I think having an artist like this is extremely important if Boom Studios wants Power Rangers to sort of take off and be a top selling book like Spider Man or Batman. Power Rangers hasn't reached that point yet, but I think that having a really strong penciler like Michael YG, who is also sort of up and coming in the comics industry, he doesn't have a lot of published credits to his name. So I think that having a really solid, consistent artist that's able to do long stretches of comic runs is going to do wonders for this Power Rangers universe. Some defining features of YG's art is that it's so crisp and clean, but not only is it crisp and clean, but it stays that way during action sequences. Here are some examples during the opening pages of issue number 1. Lauren's escaping the Eltarian regime, and you can see it's an extremely dynamic sequence in which she is not only running away but also fighting back. Oftentimes, pencilers can struggle with keeping this kind of action clear and fluid and easy to read. But YG does an excellent job of making it clear exactly what's happening in these scenes and making it fun and exciting. This is extremely crucial in the artist playing a role in the visual storytelling, not just relying on dialogue and narration from the writer, but being able to truly see what the characters are doing in these high stakes action sequences. Another thing I look for with consistent series artists is facial expressions. I think that all artists have some quirks whenever it comes to drawing faces. And I think that sometimes the longer that you look at certain facial expressions, the stranger they become. I think that's just the reality of drawing so many faces on a tight deadline. However, because this is such like a fast-paced book, I think like the uncanny faces are a bit less of a problem. Furthermore, YG does a great job of putting emphasis and time on the faces that he really wants you to focus on and sort of leaving behind the ones that maybe it's not quite as important that you're going to breeze through a little bit. So, for example, here you have an instance where a couple of the characters are just having conversations. It's really just sort of exposition, it's telling the reader what's happening. There's not really any need to be observing the characters' faces that closely. However, here you'll see it's a scene where the two characters, Mark and Jun, are talking about the Eltarian colonization and how it's impacted Earth. And this very final panel is Jun saying that Earth is better off and Mark saying that Earth is not better off. And they both have these very solemn looks on their faces. So I think that Mark's face is saying what his words are saying, right? He's saying that this has been difficult. Refugees have a hard time on Earth, and that the Altarian colonization has been hard on people of his class. Whereas I think John's face is not matching what he's saying. I think that Jun is also looking a little more reserved, and I think it's because he's sort of questioning the truth of what he's saying himself. Like he knows that he's supposed to feel that the Altarian colonization is a good thing, but his face kind of says that maybe he doesn't really believe it. And so I think that that just goes to show the important role that a penciler plays, especially one as talented as Michael YG, to move along the storytelling. Nothing during nothing during the dialogue of Jun says that he is regretting this, but his face kind of makes you question, like, well, maybe he's having second thoughts about what's being said and the really the quality or the positiveness of the Letterer regime. I would keep an eye out for Michael YG to be a series artist on an extremely big superhero comic in the years to come. I think it's only a matter of time. Fabi Marques is on colors in this series, and I think I might have said this in my review of issue number 1, but I imagine that Power Rangers book is just a dream come true for a colorist, just because of how color driven the Power Rangers are as characters. I also imagine it might be a huge pain because it's probably a lot of work having to utilize all those different colors. Marquez does a fantastic job from page 1. The very first page of the volume here shows Rita Repulsa sort of painting around with all these different colors, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The color selection is so vibrant and exciting, and I love all of Fabi Marquez's choices here. Additionally, Marquez really complements Michael YG's pencils extremely well and fleshes out the characters that he draws. So I definitely love the consistency and the detail that Fabi Marquez puts into her work here. I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for more books colored by her. I think colorists are extremely underrated in comics, and I think a really good colorist can completely change a book. And I think that Fabi Marquez is a colorist that has the ability to change a book like that. I also reviewed a book that she colored called Rise #1. And so I'll link to that review here. She did a great job on that as well. And she's also been doing work from other series from the publisher Mad Cave Studios, like Hour of the Wolf and Flash Gordon Quarterly. Ed Dukeshire has lettered an incredible number of Power Rangers books. According to League of Comic Geeks, he has lettered 69 issues of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, 23 issues of Go-Go Power Rangers, 19 issues of Power Rangers, 17 issues of Mighty Morphin, 12 issues of Ranger Academy, 6 issues of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink, 6 issues of Power Rangers Universe, and 6 issues of Power Rangers Prime. So I think it's safe to say that the guy knows what he's doing when it comes to lettering the Power Rangers. And I'll say that he does it with a flair that you would come to expect from Power Rangers letterer. The Power Rangers as a property is just extremely over the top and exciting and campy, and he definitely brings that to the lettering. He adds a lot of flair where necessary, but he really keeps it nice and clean in instances where the dialogue is an important piece and allows the pencils and the colors to shine. So now the spoiler that you've been waiting for. Lauren is obviously the Red Ranger, right? That much is very clear early on. But then Jun becomes the Black Ranger. Mark becomes the Blue Ranger. Orion becomes the Pink Ranger. And Valentina becomes the Yellow Ranger. So there you go. If you were wondering who all the different Power Rangers were, that's who they are. Haven't seen anything regarding a Green Ranger or White Ranger yet, so definitely keep an eye out for those. Power Rangers Prime Volume 1 is in shops this week. It's a price point of $18.99, which does honestly feel like a really high price point for only 4 issues. However, at $4.99 an issue for the single issues, you're still saving some money by picking the trade up over the single issues. This volume is a great jumping on point for new Power Rangers fans. It's a great start to this new universe, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars, although it's definitely a lot closer to a 4.5 out of 5. It was definitely a high 4. So it was extremely quality, and I highly recommend it. Make sure you like the video, make sure that you subscribe, check out all my other videos here, and thank you so much for watching.